Kylie Gale is an artist from New South Wales who released the EP Upside in 2021. In addition to creating music, she is a mother of four and a teacher. And she has a new song. I don't know when she has time. Nobody knows me like you do, and plans for more. And I'm very interested to talk to her about all of it. Hello, Kylie.
Oh, hello, Sophie. It's so lovely to be on. Yes, I love those little intros. I think, oh, yeah, sometimes I don't know how I do it, but, I love it. I can't not do it, really.
Well, and I never like to take it for granted when people say, "Oh, how do you fit it all in?" It's like, well, clearly you have great organizational skills, but I will save that question for later and actually launch straight into the new single, which is "Nobody Knows Me Like You Do." What was the inspiration behind it?
Um, well, apart from the four kids and working, I have a wonderful husband who I've been married to for about 22 years now. So I wrote this single back in, I think 2022 with Billie-Jo Porter over Zoom, as we do after, that's just what we do now as songwriters. A lot of the time, it's not face to face anymore, it's over Zoom. And I went in with this idea just saying, nobody knows me like he does. And I didn't want to write like a typical love song, I suppose. I wanted something that really um, just shows how we feel about one another, and that if he's got a crazy idea or I do, we just go, yep, let's do it, and just support one another. So really that's, how it sort of all came about. And then, yeah, nobody knows me like you is just the end product, I guess.
Well, and it is something to keep supporting each other's crazy ideas, because the easier thing would be to go, "Oh no, that's silly. No, we can't do
Yeah.
that."
Yeah, it's so true. And he's a bit of a go-getter in his own world, and he's a teacher as well, and he just loves his job. And he always supports me through music no matter what. Nothing's ever too hard. It's always yes. Can I go away for a week? Not ask go away for a week, but can you take the kids, and do everything while I'm away for a week just living my dreams? And he's like, "Yep, way you go. They're fine." So I'm very lucky that I've got all that support. So when I do want to do, songwriting workshops or go and do gigs away, I can just go, and it's just so good. Like, I'm very lucky.
You did have a song on Upside called Torn in Two, which was about that juggle of well, the push and pull, I guess, of wanting to
Yes.
be away to be a musician, but then having responsibilities at home, even though you have that, I don't want to say permission, but you know what I mean, that liberty to go and
Support.
and to
Yeah.
support.
Yeah.
Do you still feel that push and pull?
I'm very lucky now. I've done music for a long time, but really playing gigs I've sort of done maybe for the last 12 years, like a lot. And my youngest now is 13. So he was only really little when I started being a lot more serious about playing gigs. So I remember taking him to rehearsals, on my hip at 3, going, hey, he's got his chocolate milk and a cheese and bacon roll to keep him quiet for, an hour and a half while we go over new songs. And I did that for a really long time. So, yeah, it is that yeah, it is a bit of you are torn, but the kids don't know me as anything else really too now. So they go mum, live your dreams, have a good time, because they're that little bit older. And so back in the day, it was really hard. I'd be doing 3 gigs a weekend and then working and then having the kids, and but I couldn't not do it. So I
It's also,
kept going.
it's terrific for them to see you doing that, because you're showing them what it's like to follow a dream, to follow a passion, to follow your
Yes.
convictions.
Yes, it's so true. And two are musical, two aren't. So I've got a 50% average there. So I'm happy with that.
Are the two who aren't musical kind of like, "Oh, mom, oh no"?
Um, Look, sometimes like the youngest one, he was in my Torn in Two film clip
Right.
on yeah, and he's just the biggest cringe factor now because he was only, 9 or something or 10, and now he's just like, oh, I can't believe I did that. And I'm like, it's like a time capsule, mate. It's like the best thing you ever did. So it's yeah, but no, they're very supportive. They'll come and watch me do gigs every now and again as long as they get a free chicken schnitzel. They're happy. So,
Oh, look, fair
you
enough.
know, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm happy. I'm willing to do that.
And is your husband your very first audience for any song you write?
Yes and no. It just sort of depends. It took me a lot of courage at times to sing brand new songs to him, like, which it sounds strange, but I'd go, come on, what do you think of this one? He'll go, oh yeah, that's okay. And then I'd get a bit disappointed sometimes because I'd think, oh, this is like the best song ever. And he'll be going, yeah, it's all right. And so I learnt not to really show him new songs until they had a little bit of a demo or a feel or something like that behind it, because a lot of the times it's me and my guitar just knocking out a new song. And I really I've learned over the years to sort of wait till it's a little bit further along to go, what do you think of this one? And he'll go, oh, I love it, or, you know, whatever. I mean, of course, they're a captive audience, aren't they? They're not going to say it's terrible, which I'm very lucky about. But yeah, I get nervous. Sometimes I play to musical friends more so
Mhm.
um, than my husband, but I'm getting more confident to show him newer songs.
Well, and you said it may sound strange to say it takes courage, but I think the stakes are really high, and that's why it takes courage. Because, of course, if he has a negative reaction, it's this is your husband. So how are you going to play
Yeah.
that out?
My heart is on my sleeve and you're saying it's okay. Yeah, no, it's I'm getting better at sort of bearing my soul, I guess, when I'm writing songs. And yeah, songwriting has become a really big passion of mine. So I guess you get critical of yourself, I suppose.
Yeah,
And yeah, but it's, yeah, I love it. I can't not do it. So yeah.
probably get more critical the longer you do it.
Yes,
That's
you
true.
do. You know, I used to just write a song and they'd go, I wrote this in, 10 minutes and it's my best song ever. And now I'm sort of like, oh, agonizing over lines. So sometimes I do have to, let that go a little bit too. So it's this even balance of being really self-critical or just going with your heart, I guess, when you're writing.
Yeah. Now you mentioned you wrote this song with Billie-Jo Porter. She is quite in demand as a co-writer. Her name keeps popping up with things. So how
Yeah.
did you come to work with her?
We met each other at the DAG Songwriters Retreat in Nundle, and that was in 2019. So I've been very lucky. We've been friends now for 5 years, and we wrote Upside Down together. That's on my EP, and then she went on and released her own version of her album called Upside. Um, so I'm very, very lucky. I feel like we're friends, and I can reach out and say, will you write a song with me? How busy are you? And she'll go, yes, of course. So she's a wonderful songwriter, such a go-getter. She's never um, one to sit back and not have ideas, and it makes her, so the song, that's why she's in demand, is because her songwriting style and her skill and her enthusiasm just is amazing in a co-write. She's very positive and just has the skill to back it up, really.
That DAG Sheep Station songwriting retreat, I
Yeah.
mean, in various forms, because I know when it's really on, it's twice a year. That has produced a lot of great songs.
Oh, I got to write my first ever, well, it was my first ever songwriting retreat. I'd just finished Academy earlier that year, and I got to write with the amazing Katrina Burgoyne, who I absolutely love. And I got to write with Katrina. So that was like my first ever co-write. And then I went to the DAG and I'm sitting around going, Jen Myers, Shane Nicholson, KB, all these people. And I'm like, oh my God. I was in way over my head. But, you just love it. And the skills you learn around the craft is what is just so important, I guess, as time goes on.
So, given that you hadn't co-written before that, that is a big shift, though, right? Because you're used to just being able to tinker with things as you would like them,
Yeah.
and I would imagine it is quite difficult to get feedback in the moment from people when you're co-writing.
Yeah, it's really taken me a long time to have confidence with my own ideas. I think that's what happens as you get better at it. You learn to just sort of verbally say things that are random at times, but yet that will then domino effect onto the other co-writers and things like that. And you're right, I did a lot of just my own solo writing for a long time, and then I've really started to branch out and co-write with other people, and I pick up little things off everybody, and to hone your own craft, and I love that. But yeah, co-writing is very different, but I think it's an amazing experience, and everybody I've written with has been wonderful to write with. I'm very lucky.
So you have some new collaborators there. An old collaborator is Simon Johnson at Hillbilly Hut, with whom
Yeah.
you recorded the single Nobody Knows Me Like You Do, but you also recorded your EP. So
Yes.
clearly he did a good job with that EP. You went back.
Oh yeah, he's amazing. I send him these little phone demos at times, and I'll say, "Do you think you can do something with this?" And he's like, "Yep, no worries." He's always such a positive, upbeat, encouraging producer, and I still feel like I'm really new to recording my own music and my journey as a songwriter and releasing singles. I mean, I know I've released an EP, but that was my first ever EP. And I look at these amazing artists who, are 20 years into a wonderful career and they've released all this music, and but he still makes me feel like I'm valid, and that I can, my music is just as good as anybody else's. And he really encourages me to have the confidence to release great music. So I'm very lucky.
Well, and I think that that's a true statement, because audiences respond to different things. So whereas as an artist, you might think, oh, that songwriter's had so many songs out, 20 years doing it. They're a much better artist than I am. They're
Mm,
a longer careered artist, you know what I mean? But
yeah.
I think when it comes to art, yeah, you can be out with your first song and be amazing because you have an audience there that responds to it.
Yeah, I totally agree. And, it's the whole um, music's like Vegemite, the old saying. It's not for everybody, but it's for some people. And I feel like that with, especially with country music and alt country, and that the community that we've built around one another. I've never felt anything but supported, even though I'm, an older releasing artist these days. Not older, but you know what I mean? Like, I didn't do this when I was in my early 20s or anything like that. And, but I really feel encouraged, and I think there is a place for everybody. And, I'm still really enjoying it, I guess. And I'm still going to keep going. I've just decided, like just to keep going and going.
Well, and that is a very good thing. So was country music always the genre for you? Did you grow up listening to it?
Yes, I'm from a small country town called Canamble in New South Wales, and so it's actually where Max Jackson's from as well. So I'm very lucky. It's got the country vibes out there, and yes, I was very much brought up on country music, but the older country music, there was, Slim Dusty, Tex Morton, and we had chickens, which sounds weird, but we had a big shed, and my pop would put on the tape player and play songs while muck feeding the chooks and whatever else, and I picked up the guitar really, really young. I was encouraged to pick up the guitar at around 7 or 8, and yeah, I really just loved country music, and I love the storytelling side of it really too, and not just being from the country, but that's the element of it I really love.
Hmm. So when you said you were encouraged to pick up the guitar, are you from a musical family?
No, I'm not actually.
Who did
Um,
the encouraging?
but I was encouraged because I went to a really tiny little primary school, and I was really lucky that at the school they actually had guitar lessons, and they would supply the guitars.
Right.
And my year 3 teacher was the guitar teacher. So, I laugh about it because it was $2 a lesson once a week, and I'd go around and have my guitar lesson. And I just fell in love. I was first a guitar, like played guitar. I never sang till I was older, probably 15. So yeah, guitar was my first love.
Yeah.
So, and I just couldn't, it was just, once I picked it up, it was just in my body. It was just the best thing I ever did.
So what prompted you to start singing?
Oh, a music teacher in high school. She must have heard me, I don't know, sing a little bit. And she said, "Can you just come over?" And she was a brilliant pianist. And she came over and started just playing a song. And she's like, "Can you just sing along?" And I went, "Yeah, all right." And sang along. And she was like, "Okay, you are going to do singing. I'm going to ring the singing teacher and get you lessons." And I ended up singing for my HSC, and
Oh, wow.
sang at every school assembly going since about year 10, 11, and 12. So I yeah, sang at every wedding, funerals, in a small country town. They sang at lots of those things. So yeah, once I sort of knew that that was the way I was headed, it was just what I did.
So did you have no inkling that this voice was there?
Not really. Like, I remember a couple of friends, we went away, like camping or something, and they said, "Oh, just sing." We're singing Kylie Minogue or something. And they're like, "Oh, you can actually sing." But I was just shy. I
Mm.
was so shy. And I remember I sang at a friend's wedding when I was younger. I was only about, like, it was a friend of a friend, but I was only about 16. And I remember my knees just knocking together so severely. Like, I don't know how I got through it. And I think about those times, and I still get nervous from time to time. But yeah, it was such, like, outside my comfort zone back in the day. Yeah, when I was
Yeah.
younger.
So as you said, you would sing at weddings and funerals and things like that. Do you think that helped you get past your shyness because it was just such a different range of experiences to be singing at?
Yes, definitely. And it sort of really put me in good stead to play in pubs.
Right.
As because the last sort of 10 years, 12 years, I've done a lot of pub gigs. And so I think you just get, that way of speaking to people and the banter and everything that goes with performing. Because really, that's, I would say, 70% of your artistry and everything is knowing how to speak to people and getting across to an audience. And sometimes it's that the banter that gets people on board, and then they stay and listen and have a joke and that sort of thing. And it's that stage presence that I find is really important now, as especially I've noticed, especially the last 5 years singing my own songs
Right.
and having a story and things like that is really important to captivate the audience.
Hmm. But it is a big thing for a shy person to get over, right?
Yeah,
So I think that it's one thing to have an instrument to sing and you have your song and that's fine.
yeah,
Then the
yeah.
the banter side of it is difficult.
Oh, it sure is. It took me a long time. I was very, very lucky. I played in a trio and a duo, and my duo partner was very confident. So
Mm.
it gave me a lot of skills watching her engage. And I think that took me a long time to have that confidence like she did. But because she was a wonderful performer and had sang for a lot of years, she had that stage presence. And I learned a lot from her watching the way she spoke to people and just engaging with everybody and looking at people and having interaction is just so important.
So, given you're a songwriter, I'm wondering if you are in fact an English teacher.
No, I teach primary school.
I,
I'm K to 6, yeah. So no, I do a lot of googling synonyms for certain words.
there you go. That feeds into it.
Yeah. So no, I'm not. I'm actually I've taught all through kinder to year 6. So, but yeah, I love the poetry behind it, and even at school, I do introduce that with my kids. Every year, we write a song together, and then we perform it for their class assembly item. So when their parents come up and they stand on the stage, and the last 3 years, I've written a song with them, and they love it. We do a big word wall and we say what we want to write about and we put it all together, and it is a bit of an English lesson though in a lot of ways, and the kids are like just fascinated. They think it's how did those few words turn into a song, they're really interested. So yeah, I do it every year. I love it.
And also teaching primary school, there's scope to bring in a musical instrument, I would think. So you can use that part of your knowledge base.
Oh, I keep a ukulele at school.
Right.
So I've just got a little ukulele and I'll just get it out and we'll just have a song. And they say, "Can you play us a song?" And I'm like, "Yeah, all right." So sometimes I take my guitar in, but usually it's just the ukulele and we have a bit of a sing along. But we're very lucky at our school. We have a music teacher as well. So they get a little bit extra if they're in my class.
So have there been any students who, like you, have picked up the guitar in younger years?
Um, Look, I know that some have gone on to pursue music in high school, and they are musical. Like some of them have picked up the guitar, and I know there's a couple of little ones I taught when they were younger, about 8, that have gone on and to write their own songs. And we're very lucky. One of the girls that went to my school, she wasn't in my class, but she wrote some songs, and she actually got recognised like youth songwriter awards and things like that. So I was like, oh, that's so good, because I just try and encourage it in children, because it's just so good for their brain, and music is just such an important part of my life. And when I was growing up, knowing that I had a strength with music was really good. And I think some kids need something to, just enhance, and something that makes them feel good about themselves. And, if they're musical, it's just a wonderful thing to know that they could do something like that.
Mm-hmm. And so for you, when you started singing, you've been playing guitar for a while, and then your mid-teens when you started to really pursue voice. Was the songwriting a natural outgrowth of that? Because you thought, okay, well, now I have these two skills together, I can make some songs.
Look, I actually kept a book of angsty teenager songs in my one of my plastic storage tubs. I've never had the heart to throw it out, and there was lots of minor chords and angsty love songs. But I must admit, while my children were small, I didn't do much songwriting. I really gave it away, but I had a massive break from that for probably 10 or so years. And then it's been about the last 7 years that I've really focused on it. So I did give it up, not give it up. I always played music, but I did cover shows a lot of the time, and not songwriting stuff. But the last about 7 years, it's been a big focus of mine.
Given that you are a mother of 4, I imagine you are very efficient at organizing your time. So I'm wondering if you actually schedule time for songwriting. I guess you have to allocate some time to it.
I do, and this year and last year, I actually do songwriting with Gina Jeffries's group. She has, so there's Max Jackson, Alaskia, and another, and Gina Jeffries, and 2 hours every Tuesday night. There's a group of us that get on, and we co-write together, and we get skills. So the last 2 years, I've made a point of songwriting at least once a week, if not more. I'll still do co-writes and everything in between, but I feel like then at least my brain is in music mode one night a week, and I'm listening to music and listening to other people. And I think that's really helped my musical songwriting brain, just to activate it, because it's like a muscle. The more you do it, the better you are. I do. Tuesday nights is my Tuesday nights, and I really enjoy it. It's everybody's got a different skill level, so sometimes you're writing with people that have never co-written before, and then you're writing with Max Jackson or Gina, and it's like, wow, you're amazing. So you learn so much of other people as well.
So when it comes to ideas for songs, do you tend to just collect them and wait for those Tuesday nights? And if you do collect them, are you a notes app user? Are you a voice memo user? How do you do it?
I'm a bit of everything. So I journal a lot. So I journal in bed of a night and things like that, and sometimes in the morning as well. And I am a notes on my phone person. I have a little one that just says song titles or song ideas, and I just go straight into that. And then if I'm writing by myself, I will voice memo that. But usually it just depends. Sometimes I'll want to take an idea to the group songwriting, and then I'm very lucky. I'm at the point where I can have ideas for songs and think, oh, this will go over really well with this co-writer, and things like that. So I could reach out and say, can we do a co-write? I've got this really solid idea. And so it just sort of depends. It's a bit of a, sometimes I'll go into a co-write and I've nearly written a song and it needs a bit of a tidy up, if you know, and things like that. And other times I'll go in going, I've got one line, help. But I know I've got an idea behind it, but I haven't fleshed it out. But it's just, sometimes it's time, but I still do a bit by still do like to write by myself because I feel like you can be a little bit more vulnerable, I guess,
Mhm. Yeah.
sometimes. And yeah, so there are songs that I've probably written by myself that I'll go, okay, I don't think I'll take that to anybody else, or I don't even know whether I'll record it, but I've written it for me at that time. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's like this, ebbs and flows.
So those songs that you take in where you've pretty much written it and you just want someone else to help you with the polishing. Have you ever been the polishing person for someone else? They've brought you a song that's almost done and you've just come in with a bit of different perspective.
Yes, I've done it a few times, and I quite like it because usually they've got a melody or something in mind, and they've got a feel of the song. They'll say, "Ah, it's like this,"
Mhm.
and I'll go, "Okay." So sometimes it might be a rhyme scheme, or it might be just the way it sits together that I can go in with, like you said, with fresh eyes, and
Mhm.
just have a look over it, and I'll go, "Oh, I think that second verse needs to be a first verse, and these things need to change a little bit just so it makes sense in the chorus, or I feel like the chorus needs a lift,
Mhm.
because I love a big chorus." And so I
That's true, you do. I'm just thinking about your songs. I'm like, yes, yes.
yeah, I love a good hook in the chorus. So yeah, so I love to pull apart other people's songs as long as they're not precious about it,
Sure.
because sometimes I'd never want to take away the feel that if they really feel special about a song, I'll say, what do you really want to keep?
Mhm.
And you've got to, it's a to and fro. You've got to really work with your co-writers, especially if you're there to tidy up and give a song a haircut.
Yeah.
Um, and or if you're or if the song's for you, you've got to be really strong in your ideas. So it's been a massive learning curve. I feel like in the last 5 years I've really learnt so much more around the craft. And
Mhm.
yeah, it's amazing, and especially watching other people write. I've been watching lots of Greta Zilla's Road Song Road, or whatever. That's terrible. I can't think. Whatever it is she's doing, and she writes every week with lots of different songwriters, and she puts it on YouTube. And I really watch how they interact and how the skill of both those songwriters come together. And
Mhm.
it's an amazing thing to watch, the different strengths that they each bring to the song.
Because what you've just described in terms of looking at someone else's work with fresh eyes and suggesting things is an editorial brain,
Yes.
more than it is a writing brain, and those things obviously can coexist, but it is
Yeah.
sort of switching into a different mode.
Oh, totally. And you're looking at syllable counts, and then you're looking at the rhyme scheme, and then does it need a pre? Does it
Yeah.
not need a pre? Does it need a bridge? No, I don't think it does need a bridge. It's all those sorts of things, and you're forever like, oh yeah, that's got to make sure that's even, checking all the syllable counts, and which I actually quite like that, because I think I am that organized brain that I like sometimes for it to sit in a very sequential order and make sure the rhyme scheme is just about right. Sometimes syllable counts and things like that can be a little bit, different depending on
Mhm.
phrasing and things like that. But it is good to have fresh eyes over songs when you're co-writing, and just make sure that, and it's also what the artist wants, the other artist, to
Mhm.
make sure it's exactly, are they happy with it? And if not, we'll work for longer on it. Yeah, it's a balancing act and teamwork.
Yeah. Well, given you have been doing this songwriting, I'm guessing there are some other songs in the works after this single, because the single's very new. Nobody knows
Yeah,
it like you do as the single. So, planning ahead for 2024, do you have some
yes,
things in place?
yes. I've got a few other songs that will be rolled out this year. I've got another few singles coming later in the year, which I'm really thrilled about. And then I'm hoping actually to get back into the studio. I've got some, that are still sitting in Google Docs that I would like to give some life to. So I played a few at Tamworth, and singer-songwriter shows and things like that. And I've got a few that I would like to record that seem to resonate with people. And so I'm ready to head back into the studio, hopefully later on this year.
Well, it seems like you have a very full, rich, colorful life and that you make the most of every moment. So I'm sure you'll find the time to get to the studio.
Yeah, I will. I'll make time.
Well, and in the meantime, I have had you talking for a while, Kylie, so I will let you go. But so great to talk to you and to find out all about your songwriting processes. And I look forward to whatever comes next.
Oh, thank you so much for having me on. It's been a pleasure.